Hey everybody, welcome to day one of the 5-day character development challenge. I am Haley, your host, and I have just a couple things to say before we get started. The first is if you're jumping into this video sequence right now, I want you to go back, start on day 0. That's the introduction. That is where you're going to get the instructions for how to do this challenge, how to get the most out of it, and it's also going to direct you to the worksheets that go with it so that you, of course, have the best time possible and really are able to develop your characters and not just watch me develop mine. Number 2 is my obligatory please subscribe to my channel. I think I gotta throw that in. And number 3 is just that, guys, I'm so excited to have you here. We're doing another challenge. This is gonna be a great time, and I wanna say thank you for joining me. This is going to be a very fun 5 days as we develop our characters together. So if you guys are ready, we're gonna go ahead and dive in, but not before I say to grab a cup, cozy up, and let's get to writing. All right, guys, so day 1 of this challenge is all about speaking with personality. So I actually see very often when we have, newer writers and actually people who are seasoned as well, we get characters who lack in personality a bit. And I think that one of the easiest ways we can spot this is if they say their lines very generically. So this would be if, they walk into a room and say hello, or if they just ask, where's the bathroom? The goal that I want to shoot for in this challenge is that the lines that these characters say make them instantly recognizable. You guys know in books when sometimes you read a line that doesn't have a dialogue tag, it doesn't say who said it, but you know who said it because it sounds exactly like them. That line wouldn't have come from anyone else because you know that character so well. You know that when you hear it and there's like that certain amount of either sass or anger or an undertone of rage, whatever it is, you know immediately which character it's coming from. And that is what I really want to shoot for today, is speaking with personality. So getting rid of these generic lines, the hello, the where's the bathroom, the things that are just meh and boring and could be said by anyone. I want to focus on coming up with personalities that each of our characters have and figuring out how we are going to use those to deliver lines in a way that designates who said them. So our goal today is to make sure that the lines that our characters are saying are all very unique to them, which is going to involve us really coming up with what each character's personality is. We're just going to write it down, and it's okay if it's very brief. Brief is fine, but we need to know what they are so that when they're delivering these lines, they match the character. So this is the most important thing today that we're going to be focusing on. And before we jump in, I need to introduce you to 5 new friends of mine. All right, so these are my 5 new friends who are going to be joining us, and I would like to introduce them in order, of course. First of all, we have Margot, who is a no-nonsense businesswoman, and she's pretty aggressive. You can see she is pushing somebody out of her way right now because she has got places to be. Next up is Lisa, and Lisa is the funny one of the group. She is thinking of her next joke right now. You can see it in her eyes. She's always got people on the floor in stitches. Lisa's pretty great. Third, guys, this is Larry. I need you to meet Larry because he is just such a nice guy. Look at him. He brought you a pizza. You didn't even know you needed a pizza. He is our nice one of the group. And then next up is Jennifer. Jennifer is fun and flirty and fine, and she's going to be delivering all of her lines with a little bit of flirty attitude. And then last of all, we of course have Brad. Brad has a real tough time getting off his phone. He's making a business deal right now. I'm pretty sure he's the one who's on his phone in front of you in the grocery line. He couldn't even get off of it to be in our group picture, which is, a little annoying, but whatever, Brad. And this is going to be our cast of 5 characters. And I want you guys to know they are not fleshed out whatsoever. They have basically 1 personality trait each. So they are not complex, which of course your characters will be. But I want to show you that even with just 1 basic personality to them, we can still make them so much fun to read about. So we've got aggressive, funny, nice, flirty, and arrogant. That's going to be the 5 ways that we're delivering our lines. So we're just going to jump right into the homework for today, and here is how it's going to work. So here's your worksheet, and what you're going to write down is your character's name and just a really, really brief description of their personality. I don't want their backstory. I don't want how the magic system works. You guys, just the personality. What are they? Are they funny? Are they loud? Are they embarrassed? Are they shy? Just be very basic, because we're going to be using lines to show who they are instead of telling who they are. So once you write down the character and the personality, we have these 5 really generic situations, and I want each character in your guys' arsenal to execute these lines in a way that is completely unique to them. Now, before we jump in here, I just want to throw in that with these 5 personalities that we just put on the screen, none of these are necessarily good or bad. I know that some of them might seem like it. I mean, look, Margot looks pretty angry here. And you know, it's a little bit annoying that Brad won't get off his cell phone. But I actually just want to be very clear that you can have aggressive and arrogant characters who people love. Those don't necessarily have to be negative traits. And I know that that sounds a little bit crazy, because things like aggressive characters and arrogant characters, you don't really expect to like them, but you could absolutely build any of these personalities into somebody that people love. If you've got the really aggressive businesswoman who rises from nothing all the way to the top, you know, maybe she's not actually pushing people out of her way like Margot is here, but you don't know the circumstance. Maybe Margot is very justified in needing to push someone out of her way. And with arrogant Brad, who won't get off his cell phone, you know, I was thinking about this because I was like, can you really make an arrogant character likable? But actually, it came to me that one of my favorite characters of all time is one of the most arrogant characters in the world, and that is Rodney McKay from Stargate Atlantis, which I'm totally rewatching right now. He's my favorite one. I'm in love with him. He's the most egotistical scientist ever, but it's done in such a way that you actually love him because he has so many other flaws in other departments, and he's hilarious. You know, again, complex characters, they can be funny and arrogant, but for the purpose of moving forward with our homework, we're just gonna have these 5 really basic personalities. So we're gonna start with our worksheet question of our characters joining a conversation. So our goal here is that they don't just come in and say hello. We need to show their personality through what they say. So with somebody like Margot, I can picture her, you know, she's working at her desk and somebody walks in and she looks up at them and she's like, this better be important. All right, that's a Margot thing to say. Whereas when Lisa's gonna join a conversation, she's probably gonna be very funny about it. You know, I could see her like seeing her friends at a restaurant and just sliding on into a chair like somebody's already sitting in and trying to take a bite of their shrimp. Maybe that's how Lisa's gonna introduce herself into a conversation. And her opening line is gonna be like, oh, you weren't gonna eat that, were you? And then we've got Larry, who, you know, if he's in that same restaurant trying to join a conversation, he's probably just gonna ask very, very nicely and probably in a quiet voice and say, hey, do you guys mind if I join you and ask a couple of questions? And then we got Jennifer, which, you know, she's probably in more of a bar setting, so she's gonna slide into the table and say, hey, handsome, what are you up to? And we're gonna know right off the bat that it's Jennifer because it's said in a flirty way. And then, you know, we've got Brad, and Brad's gonna he's probably going to correct somebody who didn't ask his opinion. So we're probably gonna have like 2 people having their own conversation, and Brad's gonna come up and hear what they're saying and say something like, couldn't help but overhearing you, and I need to tell you where you're going wrong. That seems like a really Brad thing to say. So each of those were very basic, but if we just heard that one line without any context, we would know which of those 5 people it was coming from. So the next one that I want to do is the where's the bathroom question. So you know what? If it's Margot, she's probably gonna be like, is there a toilet around here or what? Because Margot doesn't have time to ask questions super nicely. With Lisa, she's probably gonna be at some party. She's just gonna stand up and go, where's a girl supposed to powder her nose around here? And that is gonna be how Lisa asks where the bathroom is. With Larry, it's gonna be super nice and sweet. Excuse me, do you know where the restroom's at? That's gonna be a very Larry way to ask. Now with Jennifer, she's probably gonna say something like, I really just need to get these clothes off and shower. Can someone tell me where the bathroom's at? It's gonna be a Jennifer thing to say. And then with Brad, I feel like he needs to make it really clear that he already knows there's a bathroom around. He just needs a little extra help getting there. So it'd be something like, hey, I know your bathroom is here somewhere. Point me in the right direction. I feel like that'd be a Brad thing to say. So before we go ahead and move forward and do this with our own real characters, what I would love to do is give you guys a couple of tips. So we're gonna start with some ways that I've seen this done well. So one of the things to focus on when you do actually incorporate this into the writing itself, not just working on the worksheets, is delivering these lines with appropriate body language, because body language can say just as much as the line itself. And also when when you're delivering these, remember that people are not always extremely direct. Someone might always not say I'm sorry in those words. It might not include a word I apologize, or like it might be a really roundabout way that they come to say it. If that's an arrogant character, they really have a tough time with the words I'm sorry. And so they might actually dance around the subject, and that is really awesome because it shows their personality. So just because these lines have, you know, you're supposed to have a line in here where your character is apologizing, Brad might not apologize. That might not be something he does. He might admit that he did some wrong, but not ever come to bring himself to say the word sorry. So remember, there is some nuance that is involved, because you, even with characters who are as basic as possible and have just one trait each, there can still be nuance with them. And then another way to do this well is if you're looking through the dialogue that you already have and you see these generic lines, you see a hello, you see a how are you see one of these lines that is, you know, just generic and could have come from any character. If you're having a hard time coming up with an alternative, you know, a personality filled line, ask yourself, instead of thinking about what that line was, ask what it was intended to do. So if the line was, hello, how are you? The intention is a greeting. And so think of it in that way, and think of all the ways that you might be able to greet that other character, either through body language or through some sort of action. It might not even have to be dialogue. So it's really exploring how we can inject personality into every intention that the character has, and making sure that that personality bleeds through into every line that they deliver. Now, a few things that I want to make sure we avoid as we go into our homework is, of course, the generic lines. I don't want hi, how are you? The point is that the characters, we're writing down what their personality is so that we can say this in a way that really speaks to them and makes our readers like them. So in the apologizing section, it's not I'm sorry, it's not I apologize. Come up with something that is super unique to that character. Otherwise, you know, if the character is going to deliver generic lines, we don't remember them because we don't remember generic. We remember people for how unique they were. And the last thing that I would say to avoid as you guys go into your homework is, and just as you're looking through and editing your work in general, is avoid chit chat. So maybe a greeting isn't actually needed. Maybe we don't have to ask about the weather. Maybe we don't have to say, hey, how are you at all? Because that is a super generic conversation in general. And unless something is wrong with that character, we probably don't need to see another character ask how they are. There's of course exceptions to this. If they've been in a car accident, someone's probably gonna ask, how are you? But there might actually still be a more personality driven way to deliver that line than the exact words, how are you? So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up so that you guys can get started on your homework, really start to focus on your characters and inject that personality into every line that you're writing in there, and help them to become bigger, stronger, well-rounded characters in the long run. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching, and I will see you tomorrow for day 2 of the 5-day character development challenge.